Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to give people a few more minutes to finish signing on, and I'll get started at about 3 minutes past the hour. Once again, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul Polana. I'm the product educator here at DMF Lighting. Today, I'm going to be going over our performance decorative webinar with you all. This is going to cover really sort of the benefits and different applications that we see out there for performance decorative architectural lighting fixtures. So we'll cover a bit about what exactly that phrasing means. What is a performance decorative fixture? And then we'll look at some of our different product families that feature or rather fit into this performance decorative category of lighting. To start off with, again, what is a performance decorative, or what is this idea of performance decorative lighting? So really, this is a category of lighting where high aesthetic features meet high performance. This is going to blend sort of the beautiful aesthetics that you get from some decorative fixtures, along with the sort of technical rigor and the specification grade features that you get out of architectural fixtures as well. So it's kind of marrying those two things together and giving you the flexibility to really light the space in the way that you need to light it. The proper light levels, with beam control, with all of the different options that you know and expect out of a technical grade or spec grade fixture, but brings in a decorative element so that you have a fresh look in the space, or just sort of an additional piece that's going to tie together the rest of the architectural design and the interior design and all of those elements that make a space feel really holistic and well thought out. So really, there's a lot of benefits here in going with something that has or fits into this performance decorative category. You have a lot more flexibility to really tailor the space depending on the application and really the design intent that is behind, the architectural design. Again, because we're using a spec grade fixture, you get the enhanced performance that you need as well. So some of these products as well might specifically also increase some of the performance. So we'll talk about how each of these products changes the light, if it does or if it doesn't, whether it's increasing sort of shielding, adding additional diffusion, helping to mitigate glare. All of these things could be potential benefits from some of these performance decorative type fixtures. Finally, they can really help to just be a sustainable investment as well. So particularly when you take these types of fixtures or approach these fixtures in a modular lighting system, this can be done as sort of a cost-effective refresh to a space rather than, again, replacing an entire fixture, removing a whole decorative fixture, a surface mount. Simply changing out a trim or updating something within a cylinder or something like that can really add sustained value to your space and allow the core of your fixture, the performance part of that fixture, to remain in place while giving a nice refresh to the space. So starting off, we'll take a look at our 3 and 4 inch decorative pendants with shades. Really these are great because they offer a lot of different sort of benefits. So they really help provide some of these different sort of functions within a space. Particularly when we just talk about pendants, they're really solving for or can help you really solve when you don't have the space for a fully recessed fixture. So it can be a really versatile solution that fits in a lot of different layouts. When paired with these sort of different decorative elements, have a nice clean silhouette that fit in many different sort of aesthetic styles. Functionally, again, they fit in a lot of places like open ceilings or places where you don't have the depth for a fully recessed fixture. So that adds to the places where you can get the effect of a downlight without the space for it. And also have the ability to add in an indirect layer of lighting as well. So most of our pendants in the right size have the ability to have that uplight or the indirect light component in addition to our downlight. So this helps spread out your lumens and give you a greater, more enveloped feeling space. Performance-wise, these decorative pendants also really help by increasing our shielding angle. So that shielding angle is reducing the amount of space around the fixture where we can really see directly into the bright source of the light. So that's going to really increase visual comfort. This is one of the really key benefits for some of these shades, aside from the visual or the aesthetic impact. That shielding angle really cuts down on places where you can see it. Paired with that spec grade light engine really provides endless options for the perfect light that's going to fit your space. Finally, as we'll see on the next page, this is really a wide range of pairings. So this is going to give you a full sort of suite of options that are going to be able to tailor the light or tailor the actual silhouette of the fixture to your space. So these decorative pendants with shades are available in both our 3 inch and 4 inch cylinders. For those that are familiar with DMF, these line up with the X series and M series families of downlights. We're transitioning our nomenclature, so just take note of that. You'll see that first starting out now here in our new cylinders with shades. So the 3 inch ones will start with 3CP for a 3 inch cylinder pendant, and then 4CP for 4 inch cylinder pendant in the part code. So just be aware of that. That's why we're now calling them 3 inch and 4 inch, referring to the diameter of the cylinder. But between those two sizes, or those two different families, the 3 inch family has a 6.5 inch length and a 9 inch length. And then our 4 inch family has a 4, 8, and 12 inch length. So each of those compare with any of the 3 different shade styles or the profiles. So we have a narrow, which is in the middle of the screen on all of these, or in the top row at least, in the narrow. The narrow is in the middle of that render. And then a medium on the right side and a wide on the left side. So they sort of go up in the sizing. So this can all pair between those different lengths and diameters of cylinders. So you have 15 different combinations that can fit a wide variety of of different spaces. Just to note, if you're not totally familiar with our pendant configurations right now, the 3-inch X series cylinders, that 9-inch length can accommodate an uplight. In the 4-inch diameter cylinders, we have a 8-inch and 12-inch versions that can accommodate an uplight as well. So the two smallest sizes don't have quite enough room, but moving up to the larger sizes allows you to have that indirect lighting. Taking a look at the performance of these fixtures. So again, I mentioned that cutoff angle is a really key benefit here for a lot of these applications. So that high cutoff angle, depending on the actual trim, or excuse me, the shade profile, ranges from about 48 to 62 degrees. That's a very high cutoff angle compared to just our sort of our standard trim, which is about 22 degrees. So you're really reducing the amount of space, or the places within the room where you can actually see directly into the light fixture. We have some of these over some conference tables and sort of working tables in our offices here now, and they really help reduce the spill of the fixture and keep it very comfortable to work under, give you concentrated focused light without being distracting in any other angles. Depending on the configuration, there are some light loss factors to deal with, particularly in that narrow shade. So you can see the 4 different photos here on the screen go through our standard trim, a narrow shade, medium shade, and wide shade. So that narrow shade has the most impact on the beam spread. Obviously, it's a very tight angle and does cut off more of the light output than our medium and wide shades. But depending on the configuration, you're looking at between about 30 to 60%. One nice thing is that the center beam power, that candela reading straight out the center of the fixture, is much less affected. So you're looking between 5 and 10% loss in some of those instances. And then the finish, or the change between our black and white finishes is actually relatively low, about 1% light loss between those two different finishes. So the great news is that you have a lot of different options to really tailor your light to how you want to fit the space. We, of course, have IES files for all of these different configurations available directly on our website. And I'll talk about at the end, there's a performance decorative application guide that spells out through some of these scenarios in more detail as well. Talking just a little bit about the applications where these can fit in. I mentioned before already that we have these in certain task lighting applications, places above conference tables, things like that. Those are all really great uses. Things like reception desks, workstations are all great spots where these are going to be, places where you can use focused direct lighting and cut down on the spill and the potential glare around the rest of the space. Places like hospitality applications, so thinking about like hotels, bars, dining areas, all of those sorts of spaces where you want to have an intimate sort of mood and a nice feel around that space, can really help enhance those type of spaces. And then open offices as well. Again, the amount of space where you can see all these different workstations, different lighting fixtures that need to cover a wide range of space. These shades can really help to, again, reduce those viewing angles and give you a much quieter, glare-free environment that's going to be much more comfortable to work in as well. I just want to sort of show you again, we have some of the different cylinders here on the above the table behind me. So this is one of our 4-inch cylinders in the 12-inch length and the narrow shade. So you can see it's really quite focused and a higher cutoff angle. We then have our 3-inch cylinder. So this is the medium shade. So it's the slightly smaller version, and the wide shade as well for the 3-inch. We have the wide for the 4-inch one. So those get quite a bit bigger. They're proportional to the fixtures themselves. So as that 4-inch diameter goes up, so does the overall size of the fixture. But they all do a really great job of shielding and creating a nice glare-free fixture. From here, I'm going to move into our M and X series decorative trims. So our decorative trims all feature some sort of acrylic element that sits below the ceiling. So they have a standard white flange and then the decorative acrylic element that comes down below the ceiling. So these are great in that they can really add some additional sort of style to any light installation, a little bit of additional visual intrigue. Um, Something that's going to be a little bit different than your standard downlight layout. Typically, we don't see these used maybe necessarily in an entire space, but often in some concentrated areas. So think again above reception desks, potentially in a bathroom or powder room. We'll talk a little bit about the performance aspect of these, but they do change the light in some degree, some more than others. So they have a sort of a variety of different layouts, so that different levels of frosting that really interact with the light and catch it in really intriguing ways. So it's going to add that visual element of intrigue, that varying level of frosting or transparency is going to allow you to control the effect of the light as well. So you have some degree of control there. And certain ones of them have sort of an open path to the beam or an uninterrupted set to the beam spread. So that gives you the ability to get more sort of useful light out the center of the beam versus having a more diffused fixture, one which may be more beneficial or not in certain applications. So lots of options in that way. Talking about the benefits and some of the applications here. So again, these trims all have a relatively, or most of them have a relatively high level of diffusion. I'll look at the specific trims one by one with you in a minute. But generally, they all widen the beam angle to some degree because of that acrylic element and the way that it casts light outwards. So that below the ceiling light source casts some additional light towards the walls or the sides of the space as well. So it does actually help create a more sort of open feeling space. We had a bathroom here, a couple of bathrooms where we changed them from a standard trim over to our decorative trims, and it definitely brightened up the room quite a bit more, made it feel a little bit more expansive and bigger. So that is sort of a nice benefit in certain applications that could come from these decorative trims. So if you have low ceilings and tight spaces as well, like think closets, pantries, if you have some of these up against some casework or millwork, places where maybe the budget can't afford linear lighting within that millwork, but you want to get some light into that case, that can help in those instances. So good places where you can think about all those sorts of things. It can also really help with sort of decorative focal points. Again, go back to our example of, certain dining areas or reception desks, things like that. And then finally, any place that needs just more diffused and soft light, because we're really spreading the light out and in some cases really reducing the center beam candle power quite a bit. Any sort of space where you maybe are looking up into the ceiling, like spas, gyms, salons, all those types of spaces are going to help sort of create a more soft diffused light where people have a very broad, even wash of light and aren't so concentrated on people's eyes if they look up. I'm going to start off looking at the M series fixtures with you all. We have a couple different varieties here. So the first one is our decorative closed clear frosted inside. So it's the DCCF on our spec sheet or in the part code. So this one has full acrylic all the way around and is totally frosted all the way throughout the fixture. So it has clear on the outside. So when you get these side views or even like into the front of it, you get this sort of really cool visual effect where the inside has a sort of glowing orb and it's fully frosted. So you can see that we have like less than 10% light loss in this fixture. The beam spread is really widely increased. I should note that all these stats and photometrics are given for a 3000 Kelvin, 1000 lumen module with our general ambient optic. That's the one optic that these are sold with. Because of the acrylic element, we need to spread that light intensity out so it doesn't create issues or thermal issues. So you'll see that as the available option. The center beam candle power is about 230 candela, so it's definitely spread out quite a lot, and that 123 degree beam spread is really quite wide. So I'm going to give you a very diffuse amount of light. You can see the sort of application photo here spreads up the walls quite a lot. So it gives you a really diffuse beam and in a very spread out manner. The next one on our list is the decorative closed clear frosted sides. Similar sort of structure. Except it has a clear front now and then just frosting on the outside of the fixture. So a little bit different. You can see relatively similar performance, pretty much the same light output overall. So about 4% light loss. But our beam spread is much more contained here. So we're looking at about a 78-degree beam because of the frosted sides and that clear front. So it's going to give you a more concentrated pool of light going down, but still give you some of that really nice sort of decorative element in that trim. Our next slide. The final one that we have is actually our decorative open trim. So this features fully frosted sides that come down and it is open to the actual optic of the fixture itself. So this one again is a relatively tight beam spread, about 86 degrees, and is maintaining a bit more of that center beam candle power as well. On the square side of things, we have two slightly different versions. One is a totally frosted version on the outside. So this one is very, very diffuse and gives you a very soft overall pattern of light. Again, about 124-degree beam spread in this instance, so very diffused and spread out and wide beam spread. And then we have a similar clear frosted inside as we do to the round, just of course in our square version here. So it has that kind of nice set of places where you can catch the light on all four sides, and it gives you a really interesting sort of look. This is, I think, one of my more favorite ones. Slightly less diffused here, about 115-degree beam angle, but still very, very wide in the grand scheme of things. Moving over to our X series, our 2-inch family of downlights, we have 4 different options between our round and square. First one on the top of the screen here is our decorative open. So this open trim has, again, is open directly to the middle and then has frosted sides on both the inside and outside, with the face of it being clear. So when lit up, you get this sort of really cool, again, clear view into the middle and these frosted sides. Once again, this path of light here is really unobstructed. So you, with our wide flood optic, sorry, there's a typo here on the screen. That should say we need to update for the X series, but this is all given for the wide flood optic in the X series, which again is the one flood optic or the wide flood is the optic that it's sold with for these trims. That beam spread is a little bit reduced actually because of the trim itself. So it's about 39-degree beam spread, maintaining a lot of center beam candle power, 1,500 plus candelas, and 1,100 delivered lumens on the X series modules here. So really great performance and a nice clear path of light coming out. The other one that we have is one of our big, I would say, fan favorites, which is our decorative hyperbolic. So sitting below the ceiling here, that hyperbolic shape is coming on the inside of the trim here. So it has that nice curved hyperbolic shape and is clear on the sides. So you see this really nice sort of hyperbolic shape as you look to the sides of the fixture and around the room. Again, unobstructed path of light. So in this one case, about a 35-degree beam angle, a little bit more light loss because it's sort of a tighter cone on the inside here, but still really great center beam power and 1,100 plus lumens of output. The last two options here on the screen are the square versions. So this is the decorative open. So it's a slight misnomer. It's a little bit different than our decorative open on the round. It is acrylic and frosted here, but it is sort of open in the middle. So it does look a little bit more open when you look at the sides. But again, really cool design here with the clear acrylic sides and the frosting on the bottom and the inside of the trim. So it gives you these unique angles where you see all those different sort of unique views. About a 47-degree beam spread in this case. And then we also have our square float. So the float trim likewise has a fully frosted bottom. It's solid on the bottom all the way across, and then has, again, the clear sides. I think this is another one of my real favorites because of just sort of that, again, unique look. And Again, pretty fully frosted here, so about a 54-degree beam spread in this case. That is going to bring me over to our last set of products to look at with you all today, which are the X Series decorative trims. So premium trims, our new premium trim finishes for our X Series. So these are 3 new finish options that have been added to our standard trim style for the X Series family. These 3 new finishes are a copper, brass, and a graphite. So they're a premium metallized trim that gives a much higher end look and is really well suited for sort of a variety of ceiling types, whether it's just standard drywall, white paint, darker ceilings, millwork, wood ceilings look really great with them. These trims are really nice in that they are finished with a special process called MVD, or molecular vapor deposition. It's a process that's used a lot in high-end bathroom hardware. 1 for its durability, and 2 for its sort of really nice metallic look. So what happens is these are all our standard trim styles. So it's a die-cast aluminum trim. There's a wet paint base layer that goes over it. So in this case, that's sort of nice brass color. There's then a metallic particle layer that's deposited over that with a final clear coat over the top of that. So you get this really nice metallic look that actually has some additional benefit because it does also reduce glare. So these in sort of a side-by-side with maybe a standard black or any sort of bronze trim help really cut down on glare quite a lot and make a really nice quiet ceiling appearance. So those 3 different finishes add to our X Series family of downlights and the standard trims. And so I'm just going to plug this guy in for you all. And then they're available in, again, of course, round and square, flange and flangeless. So this is the graphite trim in a flangeless application in millwork. We have that round and square version for both downlight and adjustable as well. If any of you are familiar with our adjustables on the X Series, they have that shovel cut trim. So this is an example of that, the flangeless one for an adjustable fixture. So all of those different options exist. One thing to note, these do carry an extended lead time. They are finished to order. They don't have it's not a custom color per se, but they are finished to order. So we're looking at about 10 to 12 weeks on the lead times there. So just keep that in mind. Most commercial projects, hopefully that's not too much of an issue to get in that sort of time frame, but just want to make you all aware of that. But aside from that, these again look really great against sort of a variety of different ceilings. We have our copper in sort of a darker millwork. The brass graphite in particular is one that looks nice in any sort of white drywall, which we have here at the factory as well. So it gives you a wide range of different options for those applications. Last but not least, I'll just again point out to you all that we have all of this information available in an application guide. So that's hosted directly on our website at dmflighting.com. If you go to the resources tab and additional resources, you'll find all of our sort of technical bulletins, application guides, brochures. So you'll see it there. This again covers all the products that we've seen here today. Particularly the decorative pendants with shades have even more information there about the cutoff angles, the optics and performance and all that. So do take a look at all of that. You get some really good information there you can pull into your practice. And if you want more specifics about these particular products. But with that wraps up really all I have to share with you all today. I want to thank you all for joining us. If any of you have any additional questions or anything, please do feel free to drop those in the Q&A. You can stick around for a few minutes to address those. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all again soon.